Many people are having issues with the trains and the rails, so this video is for an explanation on how to set it up properly. So first of all, there's the train station, which is like set up in a specific order. If you want a back and forth train with two locomotives, like so one on each end, you will need to have two stations with as many freight as you want connected by belt. Now the station is facing towards the outside, so the station icon or display is at the very end. If you look from above, you can see it from below as well, that the station is shaped like a D, and the D has to face away and has to be at the end of the rail. Your trains, they will look like this. So what happens is this train will go into here, it'll load or unload, obviously the station needs to have power, and then it'll reverse or basically go back towards the other side with this one, and it'll just keep repeating it. Now for the rails, there's an issue with junctions specifically. So if you have a piece of rail, rails have like an end, right? So you can connect another rail to this ending of the rail. Now if you have a junction like this, you'll see that it creates this one. Now the problem is that you cannot do this. So anything, basically it'll say, well, you cannot reach the destination. So if you have a train from here going here, it'll mess up because this whole section, like all of this is counted as a single junction. So what you need to do in order to break it, to prevent this issue from happening, you gotta build it differently. So you have one piece of rail, another piece of rail, and that's when a junction happens. This will work just fine because this middle section is comprised of two separate pieces of rail. Now the second issue that arises is some people have T-junctions, right? So let's say in this case, let's start over here. Alright, so they will have a thing going left, a thing going right, and then normally they will have like a piece like connected right here. So it'll look something like this, right? Let me just rebuild this properly so we can get the actual error. Right. So this is the setup. People have a T-junction where every single piece of the junction is a single piece. And that's basically causing the same issue as before, where you only have one piece between the junction, right? Like between this part and this part. So the same applies here. You need to break this up to 2 sections if you want to make it work. Now this will work. So the same happens here. And the same happens here. Now everything has like a real end in between. Here, here, here. And this rail end shows the junction that it's not connected to this one. And that prevents it from being an issue. Now another issue that arises is when people have a junction and that leads to a second junction directly. So it'll split off here. So let's build one over here. It'll be like this, right? And this intersection right here, that's causing the same issue as before. And the only way to break that up is to put a rail end between it. So a piece of rail, that causes a rail end in between, and then the junction. Now for the last issue that some people have, like in their games, is when a train station, so when the train leaves the station, it is directly connected to a junction. So, for example, this will lead to a second station. This also does not work. You need to break this part up into 2 sections. So you can do this. This will work. Obviously, the station can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you want. All that matters is you have 2 sections of rail with 1 rail in between the connection. So the one junction, this is apparently in the game counted as a junction, and the next one.